Hey everybody, what is up? My name's Mackenzie.
And I'm Jonathan.
We are husband and wife, and we'd like to welcome you to TerreDice.
And today we're taking a look at Power Plants, published by Kids Table Board Gaming and designed by Adam Dalton, who also designed Fall of the Mountain King, a game that I've been loving and talking about on this channel.
Yeah, so Power Plants is this beautiful, colorful, plant-like game, and what I like to say about this game, it's as if you took Professor Sprout from Harry Potter and Neville Longbottom, and they had a wizard duel. And that is what Power Plants is. So if that sounds like something you might want to play, then just keep watching.
Alrighty, so in Power Plants, you're gonna start by selecting, or randomly, 5 different plant types that you're gonna be growing in this garden. So you have 8 different colors to choose from, 16 different cards, you got some variant options for each of those tiles. You're then going to dump them all in a bag, draw a hand of 2, and then you're ready to get started. You are going to, on your turn, play one of your 2 tiles that is going to create a new patch or grow onto an existing field. You're going to move the wizard to that patch, then you're either going to do the superpower of that one tile, or you're going to do the weak power of all the surrounding tiles. So you have a choice of that, and you're going to be strategizing based on where you put that. In addition to that, when you place tiles, you'll most often place a fairy on that tile as well, and some of those other powers are going to let you place more fairies. The goal of the game is to have area control of all of these fields, score points based on their patch sizes, also pick up gems that will either be on the patches or granted to you based on those powers, and potentially capture rival sprites and expel them from the land. So it is a bit of combat, a bit of like area control, and a lot of just kind of magic and quick take that sort of stuff. So we're looking at a pretty quick game, plays in under 45 minutes or so, especially if you're playing with 2 players, you're looking at a very short game. And yeah, it's really just kind of like a back and forth. So you'll add some fairies, they'll get removed by something somebody else does, you'll add more fairies. Also, some of the tiles might move around, those wing beans are throwing us off. So even the shape of the garden will change, and you know, you just have to kind of go with the punches and come up with what works best.
Yeah, so each of the tiles have a number. Can you explain the strategy with that?
Yeah, so there are 8 patch tiles for each plant type, and the lowest number is in a tiebreaker scenario where you have the same number of patches controlled. This is an interesting thing. The number of fairies that you have on a patch doesn't actually signify anything about control, it's just the number of patches you control. So you would stack up multiple fairies on one patch only for the sake of keeping it defended, because if someone else tried to add 2-3 fairies to it, they have to remove yours first before they can add their own. So the tiebreakers with those patch numbers are that if we have the same number of fairies on those patches, I'm going to score the first place points if I have the lowest numbered tile. So there are certain tiles that are more valuable than other tiles, which can make really kind of interesting plays about how you want to lock that tile in so it's a bit more protected. Yeah,
and locking it in, because there's going to be sometimes where there's going to be big piles of money, like gems, on these tiles. And those, you might be the one that has placed all those gems, and you might be sitting there and be like, these are my gems. Those gems are up for grabs, so someone can kick you off of that and then jump over and take that pile, and it is now theirs until someone else takes it from you. So the money like goes back and forth, and like who's winning and like that sort of aspect.
So we've been talking a lot about these crazy ones that are expelling and capturing rivals. They're actually from the alternate side that we played most recently. There are 2 different types of cards for each plant type. Some of them are like less mean. They're more like, oh, just had tons of fairies everywhere. And some of them are, I'm gonna expel you, I'm gonna move you, I'm gonna capture you. So you can actually choose how much player interaction you really want to have in this game versus just strategic placing of tiles.
Yeah, and it really does add, like, I would say, a different mood to the game. So when we played multiplayer, I really enjoyed playing the I wouldn't say lighter, just less like mean or less like in their face, like less effective, I guess, to the other person. I really enjoy playing that mode, or
with the 3-4 player.
Selecting those plants for a higher player count. I, however, really enjoyed playing the other mode where we added in more combative plants, more quote-unquote mean, when I was playing 2-player, because I felt like the burn was quick and that they couldn't do too much to me, that I was immediately my turn again. I feel like playing the harder, more mean mode with a bigger group, I feel like because it would last too long of it being mean to you, and it might get around to your turn again and you wouldn't even have any fairies on the board.
But that's the joy of like having multiple things to choose from.
I think it's really diverse, and so I was really fun to see that there were 2 versions of the same game where I liked playing it in different player counts.
Very much so.
And the plant powers were really diverse. I enjoyed that, and they really fit the theming of the different types of plants. I was saying this reminded me of like Harry Potter, like casting spells. Like all the plants had their own personality, and they were thematic to it.
Yeah, another thing that they designed really well with this is there's the concept of the sunrise, the daytime, and the sunset powers. So you can actually rearrange the plant powers. There's cards for each of them that determines the order in which things resolve. So when I say I'm going to activate all the ones next to me, it activates from top to bottom. And what was really cool about that is with each of the powers being really unique, they did it in such a way that they're fairly complementary, or at least they won't conflict with each other if you do them in the order that it says on the cards. So just some really clever things in the design that lets you swap out for different plants without like it changing the way the game feels structurally.
Yeah, and speaking of that, along the iconography side, like they were very clear. I've always said this about this company. Their iconography and their graphic design is just beautiful, and it's just very clear in what you're supposed to do. There's a lot of you have to read what each of the plants are going to do. Yeah. But the iconography makes it really clear, and it really assists you, I found. So, and I think it's just like a beautiful color scheme. I think you're gonna see in the B-roll, we were fortunate enough to have the wooden tokens and the wooden plants, but in the retail version, that's cardboard, but it is like, it's still like beautiful. I love the creative aspect of all the different types of plants. They really match their powers, so that was very nice.
Yeah. All in all, I think, I'm really, really enjoying this game. I think that it's been a lot of fun at 3 and 4 players and 2 players with totally different experiences. I would have thought I would have wanted to play the more friendly version on the 2-player. Yeah. But you're like, no, let's play the mean powers. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I don't know, I don't like mean games. But it actually, like, you're right, the burn didn't feel like it lasted.
That surprised me, because usually I would say, oh, it's too mean, like maybe if you want to do it. But this one, I felt like they had a fine line where it didn't feel mean enough. It felt like the right amount. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention: those fairies. They're so cute, and they're one of them. I love components when I can stack them. So I was having lots of fun when someone else was going, as I was like trying to stack them. But it's not just me. Everyone else we were playing with, if you just looked around at everyone was stacking the fairies on top of each other. So that's a fun little
I would
side
alternate
game.
Stacking them upside down and doing pyramids.
It's a fun dexterity puzzle to do in between turns.
But all in all, I think like for the type of game that this is, it lasts the perfect amount of time. I think like under 45, 30, depending, it just feels right. Also, it doesn't feel like I'm building some huge army that's going to charge in and just get obliterated. Like, I feel like I'm fighting for different patches all at once. So you lose a small battle, but you don't lose the war anytime changes are made. So it feels very low stakes, and that's what I like.
Yes. And we did have a player mat with this version of Power Plants, and that's something you can get and add on to it.
I actually recommend it. It's pretty nice. Oh, you do? Yeah, because there's different things that score based on what's around it, and it looks satisfying.
It's satisfying. It looks nice, but I personally would only get it if this is you think you're gonna. I would get Power Plants first, the game, and if you're like, wow, I really like this, I'm gonna keep playing it, then I would go ahead and get that game mat. Yeah. So not necessary, but it looks nice. So, overall, that is our thoughts on Power Plants. I'll leave a link down below where you can go and check this game out. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can know whenever we put out a new video. And we'll see you next time. Happy playing!